Hey, what up? It's me, your boy. Are you guys ready? Are you guys ready? I brought some things because of, like, we had a couple of MAGA morons showing up, Maple MAGA morons showing up inside chat yesterday. So, or in live chat yesterday. So I brought some citations for them. Because I'm a nice guy, right? You know I'm a nice guy, right? So, their concerns about spending. Poilievre, who spent more taxpayer money in the last roughly 2 years? Pierre Poilievre, staff salaries and expenses, April 1st, 2023 to September 30th, 2024, $11,361,122 for Poilievre. Trudeau, as prime minister, this is keep in mind that this is the difference between prime minister, who has to travel around the world and go to other conferences, versus the opposition, whose responsibility is to not do those things. Trudeau, staff salaries and expenses, April 1st, 2023 to September 30th, 2024, $4,801,388. The citation for this is the publicly disclosed spending from ourcommons.ca/en. So if you want to go and do the math for yourself, who are we kidding? We know Maple MAGA morons can't do math, but there it is. Ta-da! So any concerns about that is bullshit, and you're welcome. Next up, real quick, Canadians bombarded with right-wing content on Musk's Twitter, currently known as X, ahead of the election. Analysis finds new network of social media accounts attacking Prime Minister Mark Carney. Coordinated accounts pushing content to boost MAGA leaders Poilievre and tarnish his counterpart, the Liberals' Mark Carney. Again, I'm back to, as far as I'm concerned, Twitter needs to be banned from basically every country. Fuck that piece of fucking shit, garbage website. Here is the additional citation from the Financial Times. So if you're looking for it and you want to check it out, it costs $1 to read it. Canadians see U.S. relationship as bad as with Russia. Canadians say that their relationship with Washington is just as bad as ties with Moscow, according to a survey that suggests an openness to improving links with China and especially Mexico. Just 16% of Canadians surveyed by Legger say Canada has a good relationship with the U.S. compared to 15% for ties with Russia. Meanwhile, 36% of Canadians say Ottawa has a good relationship with Beijing, while the number ranks higher than 75% for ties with Mexico, Europe, the European Union, and the UK. Quote, when Canadians give their relationship with the United States such a really horrible evaluation, it's largely attributed to our expectations about that relationship, which are generally considered better than the current situation, said Jack Jedwab, president and CEO of the Association for Canadian Studies. Quote, to see it hit that level where we evaluate our relations with the United States as badly as we do our relationship with Russia, and assess our relationships with China as better than our relationships with the United States is really mind-boggling. So if you want to know how Canada's fucking... how the vibe, the Canadian vibe, Maple MAGA or not, the relationship or the views of the relationship between Canada and America is real fucking bad. Really, really, really fucking bad. And one more, just for good measure, Poilievre, since they demanded and shifted the goalpost to have me ask ChatGPT questions, Pierre Poilievre named #1 spreader of disinformation in Canada by ChatGPT. So you're welcome. I hope that this has been both informative and amusing. Even Elon Musk's Grok has named Poilievre as the Canadian politician spreading the most disinformation on X. Thank you. I will take a bow now. Thank you. I appreciate your applause. Oh my god, you are so welcome. And do you feel embarrassed now? And the answer is no. They love their own ignorance so much, and they're fucking proud of it. So I just hope that people with 2 brain cells found this amusing. So, shall we get into it? Today, we're going to look at Nova Scotia. So, Mark Carney did a campaign stop in Upper Onslow, Nova Scotia on April 21st, 2025. And Pierre Poilievre did one in Trenton, which is also in Nova Scotia, on April 23rd, 2025. So those are pretty close together. I feel like that's a pretty good comparison. I think that works out pretty well. So let's did you guys like the formatting of the last one where he did like a few minutes and then a few minutes and then a few minutes and then a few minutes, or would you rather just stick with one and stick with the other? You guys let me know. And there's a really big difference. This was a rally, which is an hour and 24 minutes long, and this was just us like this one's only 8 minutes. So needless to say, we'll be spending a lot more time on Poilievre. The CBC. None of these were the CBC. What do you mean? What do you mean? I didn't reference the CBC at all. Next time Trump calls, all we need to do is answer in Spanish and start building a wall. Do you think French would have an equal thing? I don't think so. I don't think he would have I don't think he would have an equal response. I'm gonna skip ahead until like Poilievre is actually on stage, because I don't care what anybody else has to say right now about this shit. We're just gonna jump ahead. There he is. Hey, there's our boy. There's our tiny little king. Speak the truth and they will appear tonight. If you build it, they will come. So on the plus side, we get to skip a half an hour of this before Poilievre actually shows up. And then we'll see the at the end how long he's actually there for the full 30 minutes. So fair enough. For anybody who wants to watch these on their own, and if you want to watch it in full, this is again from the CPAC YouTube channel, CPAC. So if you want to watch these, all of the press releases and stuff are all there. So again, just keep in mind that the difference. I'm trying to pick places where like they're similar and close to the same time frame. But again, this is a rally, and this is like a campaign stop, and those are contextually 2 different things. So bear that difference in mind as we go forward through this. But let's start with Poilievre. Let's see what he has to say. God, he looks like a he's so stiff all the time.
Who is voting to bring home change to Canada? Who's voting for homes you can afford for a change? Who's voting for affordable food in your grocery stores for a change? Who's voting for safe streets and communities for a change?
So I'm not gonna pick on him for the sloganeering like he's doing, because this is a rally. It's supposed to be like that. This is for his base. He's not. This is not him trying to convince people who aren't already voting for him. This is what is designed to like rally up people and shore up his support, which is shaky. And I don't mean that in like a derogatory way. I mean that his support is shaky within the Conservative Party. We've seen it from Doug Ford. We've seen it from internal polls that have been released that Poilievre is just not very popular. And the more people see him, the more people listen to him talk, the less people like him. So much so that they pulled him from political ads. One of the things that you might notice is that there's a really good chance that once this election is over, Poilievre's gonna be gone from politics. He's gonna be out of a job. So if he loses, he's definitely not gonna be party leader, and he has a reasonable chance of losing his riding, which is like his quote unquote seat in the Senate. Let's call it that for our American viewers. So like it's not looking good for him. You want Leslyn Lewis. Can you tell me a little bit about Leslyn Lewis? I can't say I'm terribly familiar. I would like to point out also, by the way, that there is a very, very good chance that I was right. There's a really good chance that the Conservative Party after this election will split back into two. And if they split back into two, the center right would have a very, very good chance of winning the next election in the future. But that's thinking too far ahead. We're gonna focus on this one right now, and that depends on what the Liberals do and what happens in the next handful of years. But we'll see. So let's keep it going.
And who's voting for a strong Conservative government to restore the Canadian promise for a change?
Okay, so again, I know I'm stopping him a little bit early here. Note that if the Conservatives win, they are not winning a majority. So they will not have a strong government. And the NDP, the Green Party, and the Liberal Party they're not going to have a good time finding anybody to work with them to form some kind of coalition to make anything happen. So yeah, he's talking to his base, and I get that. He's trying to rile, like, the point is a rally. You're supposed to rally people together. So, but realistically, even if the Conservatives win, they are going to be winning by a small minority, and they will likely not be able to get anything feasibly done.
Wow. What an incredible crowd. This is amazing. This crowd speaks to the incredible hope that is breaking out right across our country. Hope that we can turn things around. Hope that we can rekindle the dream. Hope that hard work will once again pay off, and hope that we can put Canada first for a change. That's the hope.
You know, I don't entirely disagree with this. Like, I don't think he's wrong, but I really don't think it applies to him. Like, I don't know about you guys, but this dude does not inspire hope to me. Maybe it's just because I'm a woman. But, maybe it's just because I'm a woman and this guy likes to talk about my biological clock. But after reading the Conservative manifesto, hope isn't really part of their platform. If you've read it. Again, I recommend reading it. I am currently putting it all together into one thing, so it'll be just a mega video that you could just put on, but hope is not what comes to mind. I'm not sure about what you're selling here.
We're voting for. Because this election comes down to one word only: change. Change, change, change.
Poilievre has been in government for 21 years. There's nothing new in his platform. The platform that they've put out is the same as the platform from 2023 that I read out. There's the stuff that he's talking about. You heard him yesterday, right? Where he harkened back saying he wants to reintroduce and do things from Harper, which is 20 years ago. We've heard him out loud say he hasn't changed any of his mind about anything since he was in high school. Like, that's not change. That's That's not change. That's stagnation. That is going out of your way to not change. Why is the election on a Monday? Because of the way timing works. When you call an election, you have this amount of time, so that's why it went that way. It's like literally counting days. You already voted? Good.
We need change. Because after a lost Liberal decade of rising costs of living and crime, we cannot afford...
All right, let's correct this crime thing. Let's correct this, because we've seen it a couple of times now. Let's grab the crime rate. Let's make sure we grab the right chart here. Here it is. Again, I will provide the link in the chat. Police reported crime rates 1962 to 2023. Violent crime is right here. Violent crime rates. Wow. What an increase. Damn. Guys, what are we gonna do about all this violent crime? 940 to 967. Police reported crimes. This is per 100,000 population, by the way. So, like... What do you mean? Smart people will vote for Pierre. Oh yeah, will they? Why? Listen, I'm fine with you. Tell me why. I'm still sitting here. It's day 2 into watching this, and I have yet to hear why people will vote for Pierre Poilievre. Is it because of the massive crime wave? Go on, yeah.
A 4th Liberal term, we need a real change. Change so you can afford food. Change so you can afford housing. Change so you feel safe in your country under our proud flag again.
I would like to remind you that having actually read the conservative policy plans, their change is to give you a tax cut, right? Like a income tax cut. So my question for anybody voting because they want affordable groceries and they want affordable housing, if you paid 0 income tax, would that be enough for you to buy a house? The answer is no.
That's what this election is about. But before I get into the speech, I have to take a moment to celebrate the legend. Look at these incredible people we have here. Look at this. What a great
crowd. We have the best people. Okay, Trump, calm down.
Incredibly hardworking people of Nova Scotia, and in particular, the legendary McKay family. Give it up to the McKays. Elmer. Starting with Elmer. Legendary parliamentarian, made way for Brian Mulroney, served in Parliament. He used to ask such precise...
So here's the thing. So Crypt makes a point, and I think this is a reasonable point to address. Crypt says Victoria is a mess, meaning I assume Victoria, BC is where you're talking about, British Columbia. Maybe you live somewhere you have a safe neighborhood. All right, the federal government doesn't control your neighborhood. Your municipality controls the safety of your neighborhood, and your province controls the safety of your neighborhood. That's provincial issues, not federal issues. And again, like I said, these are reported crime rates in Canada in totality. There will always be more and less safer areas, but if you're going to make decisions based on this, you need to understand where these things are coming from. if you want more done in Victoria, BC specifically, then you need to vote differently for your municipalities and your provincial power. The criminal code is federal, yes. So think about it. The OPP is the Ontario Provincial Police. There are provincial policing, and then there's the RCMP. So if you have an issue with your your literal local area, your neighborhood, you need to talk to your municipalities, and you need to talk to your provincial. The federal government works on Canada as a whole, not on your very, very specific street that you live on.
And logical questions, the legend has it that Pierre Elliott Trudeau, then Prime Minister, would get so frazzled and angry by these questions, he would actually have to leave and go behind the house.
Oh, sir, you really don't want to be the one talking about... You don't want to be the one talking about run away from questions, but... Alas, here we are. Can I get a graph? I've just pulled up the Victoria, BC crime rate statistics. So specifically, like, all crime incidents. And again, we're talking about, you have to be specific. Before, what I was looking at was violent crime, which is right here. This is showing total incidents, all crime. So that would include, like, shoplifting, etc., etc., etc. Here's another one. If you're interested in what the actual statistics are, these are, this one is per 100,000 people, I believe. Index, yeah, 100K people. This one is crime rate total and crime rate BC average. So you can see that the average is a little bit higher. This is 2019, this is 2015. But this looks like it's relatively consistent. That there hasn't been a whole lot of change. So, if you're interested, you're more than welcome to look these things up, because I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but your feelings don't necessarily dictate the facts of the matter. You might feel unsafe, but that does not necessarily mean that you are, in fact, unsafe.
Commons curtain and storm up and down in a huff. But
your feelings are valid, by the way. You're allowed to feel that way, but you don't get to dictate to other people whether they're allowed to be gay or have abortions or not, because you don't feel safe in your house, in your local area. Sorry.
Of course, Elmer is a man of words. You know, at the last rally he attended, he suddenly took the mic away from me and began reciting a perfectly relevant excerpt of Shakespeare from the top of his head. He's been a great businessman. The McKay family has so many generations of contribution. The stories that I hear of, you know, generations gone by where a poor family was struggling to physically build a home with their own hands. They ran out of lumber. And one day, a big pile of 2x4s and other wood just suddenly and magically appeared on their property. And they asked the neighbors, where'd it come from? Who said the McKay family heard that you run out of lumber, and of course they're in the lumber business, and so they dropped it off. And the family said, well, why did they do that? They don't even know me. But because that's what the McKays do. Isn't that the sort of thing? The stories of single mothers and widows who were hungry and unable to buy a turkey dinner before Thanksgiving, and a ring at the doorbell would hit, and all of a sudden...
Okay, so here's the thing. As much as an appeal to emotion this is, and as much as, again, feelings are valid, solving problems are tangible. Like, these problems and issues are tangible. There are causes for them, and there are solutions. To only talk about them in a way that makes them sound like these vague issues that there's not really anything we can do about it, so we're just going to cut taxes, which is the opposite of what would actually help these situations statistically. Like, you can crunch the numbers, you can do the math, and find out what works and what doesn't, and what has worked in the past and what hasn't worked in the past. For example, somebody in the chat brought up Harper's crime stuff. That was terrible. It worked. It did not work. It worked in the worst way. Like, it flooded it cost us more money. It flooded our prison systems. It ended up doing more harm to us through via the economy, because you had people being pulled out of the economy that didn't have to be pulled out of the economy. Thus, there was less tax dollars. Thus, there was less moving money, etc., 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 etc. Harper's tough on crime plan and the unconstitutional nature of what he was trying to do is an affront to our rights and freedoms as Canadians. There's a reason why it was struck down. So stuff like this doesn't work, and we know stuff like this doesn't work. So, will a tax cut of, let's call it $200 a month, be able to help this single mother working 2 jobs not able to afford turkey dinner? Will that $200 enable her to buy a house? Will an extra $200 in a tax cut actually be able to allow her to quit one of her jobs? Because the answer is no. Because guess what? If she quits one of those jobs, that tax cut that she's getting gets smaller. Right? Because that's income tax cut. So if she's working 2 jobs, and she's paying $200 a month, or she's paying $200 a month that she's getting back now, that she's not getting taxed on anymore. If she drops one of those jobs, that number is could be cut in half. Could be cut in a third, could be cut in 2 quarters. 2/3. 2 quarters and a half are the same thing. You see what I'm saying? The math crunch does not work for what Poilievre says he wants to do to solve these problems. These very important, very emotionally charged problems, right? Also, we've already gotten tax cuts through Carney, and there's another tax cut plan. So if tax cuts is what you want, the Liberal government is doing that. So can you explain to me why Poilievre's tax cut plan is better or more effective than Carney's tax cut plan? You'll notice that all of the conservatives in here got really fucking quiet as soon as facts were involved, right? And they got rage quitty, and they got angry because the facts don't care about their feelings. Funny that. Snowflakes? Alas. So sad.
There would be a nice, beautiful frozen turkey left there by their then Member of Parliament. And then we've got Peter MacKay, the great Harper-era minister, who served our country so well for so long, defense minister, justice... Right,
because this is for a change. These are conservatives for a change, that they're dragging Harper out, that they're dragging out Harper's defense minister, that they're dragging all these things from the past, the things that we did before. How is this a change? And I don't understand how people are convinced that this is that this is a change. This is regression. This is walking backwards.
Minister, Foreign Affairs Minister. You know, there was a time when I was a young man in Parliament, and I was making a lot of comments. My mouth was moving faster than my brain. You know, at that age when you get involved, I got into hot water a few times. So I went and saw Peter for a little bit of mentorship.
Maybe admitting that you are a hothead that doesn't get along well with others and can't control yourself in a time where things are very unstable and very tentative, when you've got things like Trump going on, you've got the war in Ukraine going on, and you have things like the Paris Accords and Emmanuel Macron that you're going to have to be negotiating with around the world, is not a good look. Maybe save this story for a different time.
And he brought me into his office. He was very calm and stoic. And he sat me down. And behind him on the wall was a stuffed fish that he'd brought from Atlantic Canada, proudly displayed on the wall. And I said, Peter, what's your advice?
Why is he bringing up his past and telling stories? Because this is a rally, so he's speaking to his base and he's trying to be like, beep boop, yes, I am very much a real person that definitely has a normal life, and I can very much relate to you, the common folk. I definitely don't live in a mansion that is paid for by taxpayers, and I definitely don't have a fully staffed mansion that is paid for by taxpayers. Boop boop beep bop boop bop beep bop boop.
And he said, well, you see that fish up there? If he'd kept his mouth shut, he'd still be alive. Peter, as you know, were you nominated in this room?
Oh, sorry, that was a joke. My bad.
Mulroney was nominated here. John A. MacDonald? Okay, you didn't know John A. MacDonald. You're not that old, Peter.
Oh no, he's gonna bring up his weird attachment to John A. MacDonald. It's April 23rd. This man hasn't pivoted at all, and he's still talking about John A. MacDonald. Listen, John A. MacDonald wasn't a great guy. John A. MacDonald was a pro-genocide racist. Like, we don't like fucking John A. MacDonald. He was our first prime minister. We're not gonna deny that. We're not going to deny that the railway shit, but we're also not going to deny the other railway shit that was involved with that. Maybe your weird obsession with John A. MacDonald is fucking bizarre. It also doesn't help that Pierre Poilievre has an anti-indigenous lean on top of it, and also has like really bad racist tendencies and misogynistic tendencies. So when you put the two beside each other, it ends up like amping, like, if he wants to be like, oh, but John A. MacDonald was like trying to unify Canada by building a railway, and that's what I want to do. That's the part that I really exonerate. I don't like all this other stuff. Except he likes all that other stuff. So because that he likes all this other stuff, that the genocide, anti-indigenous, all that shit, he likes all that shit, it ends up outweighing unity, because it's not real unity. It's just, it's kind of just white supremacy. It's kind of just white supremacy. It's kind of just like straight white man supremacy.
Peter started his campaign when he was, what, you were 28 when you were nominated? 30. Okay, but you looked 28 at the time. He still looks great, eh? He looks like a Roman god, this guy, or something. It's unbelievable. Peter wasn't born, by the way. He was chiseled out of a big block of marble. We're embarrassing him. When he first ran for office, he said, we have to go visit our seniors. They built this country. And he showed up at his senior's home, and he walked up to a lady, and he said, do you know who I am? And she said, no, but if you ask the nurse, she'll tell you who you are. I think he's used...
Old lady's got sass. I approve old lady sass. Somebody in the chat says, I voted blue and I really wish the Liberals do not get reelected. I am sick of all the control they have on us. What control are you referring to? And again, I would then ask, have you read the conservative policies? Because the conservative policies want to remove freedom of choice and bodily autonomy. They want to remove your rights as parents in regards to how you're handling your sick children, and they want, as well as any medical issues with your pregnant wife, you will have any choice with that removed, as well as they want to hand your give carte blanche rights to the police to have access to your private medical records. So if control is what you do not want, in what way are the Liberals controlling you in a way that is outweighing... Oh yeah, also, by the way, they want to repeal gay marriage, so they also want to tell you who you're allowed to marry on top of that. So, I don't know what you're talking about. So if you could clear that up for me about what you're referring to, I would appreciate it.
Used that one on me a few times. But he was a great minister in our government. He gives so much wisdom, and he reminds us all of how good things...
Okay, so I could be wrong, but I think you're referencing the terrorist groups that had their bank accounts frozen for giving money to terrorist groups during the Freedom Convoy. And I want to make sure that you understand this. The conservatives in their document are saying that if you have any foreign relation at all to any organization, like terrorism, crime, anything like that, you will be deported. So if you're talking about the liberals freezing terrorist funding, which is what you're referring to, not only under the conservative docket would you have your bank account frozen, but also you would be arrested and deported from the country. So again, I would like some clarification on, are you aware of this? Do you understand that that's what that says, right? Have you read the Conservative Manifesto?
Were in the past and how much better they can be in the future. Peter MacKay is another reason for us to have hope. And boy, do we ever need hope these days, though. My goodness. Have you ever seen it this bad? Unbelievable. What an absolute mess the Liberals have made of our country. I need you too. I need you too. I need you to get out and vote.
Yeah, see, this is what I mean. See, Dave, it's all emotion. It's all just crying and whining and not knowing anything about facts or information, and then just going out of your way to find something to be offended by instead of actually dealing with the conversation. Conservatives do not know how to have a conversation. They don't know what is actually in the conservative platform, and they don't actually know how those things affect your real life. They're just making things up. Because they don't feel good right now. And listen, it's okay. It's okay to not feel good. Your feelings are valid. The conclusions you're coming to based off of whatever you pulled out of your ass, or whatever you've sniffed out of whatever leftover fart was inside Poilievre's asshole, well, that's a different story.
Have you all voted yet for a change?
I like how there's one guy in the background, I don't even know. Look right here by his head. Right there.
Have you all voted yet for a change?
See it? There's one of the change things is red. I'm kind of here for that. I think that's kind of funny.
Well,
speaking of control, by the way, let me pull this up real quick because Dave is very, very concerned, right? Let's ease Dave's concerns real quick. This is a story that's been getting shared around from Facebook, and as we know, conservatives think that Facebook is a valid source, so I don't need to do any extra work to verify this, from a Poilievre rally. So let's take a look here. So if you're thinking of voting for the Conservative Party, I went to a Poilievre rally in Saskatoon this evening. I wanted to hear him speak, and I had questions. I was there with a friend, and we stood near the back of the warehouse because it was crowded and very loud, and I was wearing a trans rights t-shirt. As Poilievre was being introduced, a man came up to us and asked us to leave. We asked why. We hadn't done anything. We were there to listen like everyone else, and he said it's private property and we were trespassing. I said we signed up to be there. He said we needed to leave. I said why? We haven't done anything. He said if we don't leave, we'll be arrested. Then he grabbed my arm. I wrenched it away and he went to grab it again, and I avoided him. Then the cops grabbed me and marched me out. Once we got outside, we asked if we were being arrested. They said we were trespassing and this was private property. Each of my arms was held by a different cop. I said, if you guys let me go, I'll leave. They said, you're resisting, and handcuffed me. 4 cops marched me to the street and went through my pockets. They did a very poor job because I did have my ID in my pocket, but they did not find it. They said they needed my name. I said no. They said if I didn't give them my name, I'd be arrested. I said I didn't do anything. They said I was trespassing. I gave them my name and they confirmed my identity in their database. Then they uncuffed me and said if I came back to the rally, I'd be arrested. So that's your tax dollars hard at work, folks. Handcuffing people to march them out of rallies for not cheering, wearing a pro-trans shirt, standing in the back because it was very loud, wanting to ask our political leaders some questions. Poilievre says Canada is for everyone, but he means only people just like him. If you want to talk about control and rights to freedom of speech, the Conservative Party definitively is not that thing. So stop pretending like you fucking care. Stop pretending like everyone else is in a fantasy land and it's not just you. Because it's just you. It's just you, guys. It's okay. It's okay that you feel this way. Your feelings are valid. They are just not facts.
I'll tell you why it's so important to vote. Because not only will things get worse not only will things not get better.
This is also besides the aggression that Poilievre has had directly towards journalists and like penning them up at pretend rallies and fake shit and faking numbers and lying about everything and fucking wearing Heelys.
If you don't vote, they'll get a lot worse. Look at the mess we're in after the lost Liberal decade. Everything costs more. Food prices have risen 37% faster.
See, this is all they have. Wow, you're delusional, spewing garbage. Anyway, you guys enjoy your dream. I'm going for a beer. They have nothing. They have no argument. They have no policies. They don't know what the Conservatives actually have said. They don't want to even listen to Poilievre. Because, of course, if the longer you listen to Poilievre, the more you dislike him, because he's just a dislikable person. They don't know what's going on. They cannot understand facts of the matter. They don't know these things. Worldwide inflation affected Canada? Yeah, go figure, right? Imagine a world market. Obviously, Justin Trudeau just had control of the world market, right? Yeah, that's how all of that works. That's how it makes sense. Sounds like you're paid by the CBC. Damn, I wish I was paid by the CBC. Can you, like, put in a word for me? No, they would never. They would never. I say the word cunt too often. How many delusional people have been summoned here so far today? 7, I think. And again, not a single one of them has brought forward a citation, a fact. In fact, actually, they've started off with both slander, nonsense, and accusations. Remember? Oh, you CBC. And I'm like, what CBC? There's no CBC here. I didn't use a single CBC thing. Funny that. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're doing. And this is how pathetic it is. They're not capable of having a conversation, guys. They can't. They can't do it. It's beyond their capabilities. They're too angry. They're too angry.
In Canada than they did in the United States over the last 5 years while Mark Carney was Justin Trudeau's top economic advisor.
We have the lowest inflation rate of the G7 and the fastest growing economy in the G7 right now.
Housing costs have doubled after out-of-control immigration and money printing.
Poilievre has voted against affordable housing every single time.
Extremely goosed the demand, while government bureaucracy blocked home building, in other words, stopping supply. Imagine
that's you. That's he. That's him. That's him. The government bureaucracy and the government spending to make affordable housing was voted against by Poilievre every time. We've looked at it already. I'm not going to pull it up again right now. You're welcome to go look at his voting record. It's public. You can look up his voting record.
If government subsidizes the demand for something and then blocks the supply of that same thing, the laws of economics dictate that it's going to become extremely unaffordable.
Ash makes an interesting point. I've been all over the world and nearly ever seen one trans person in the flesh working in a bar in Soho Square. So how the hell is it an issue that people vote based on? Because conservatives and right-wing extremists have been playing identity politics for years. This is just identity politics. And they just want to fucking blame everybody else and say, oh, they're making you deal with this and making politics about identity. And it's like, no, we just think people should have rights. People should be allowed to get married, and it shouldn't be the government's business who you're getting married to. It's not on the government to overreach and dictate and control your life. It's the conservatives playing identity politics.
Affordable. So the major causes of this were the immigration minister and the housing minister. And it turns out...
I like how Dave went from being like, well, maybe in your bubble and maybe in your thing it's like that, but why don't you think about anybody else? And then immediately just said everyone else should suffer. So if you were able to build and buy your own home, how is the economy a problem for you then to be voting for? That means that the liberals have been doing a fine job. Because you're able to do that, right? Like, that's actually insane. Yeah, like, that makes no fucking sense. And that's assuming we actually believe that that's true and you're not some fucking nerdling in your mom's basement.
It's the same guy. One guy. Right. So...
Yeah, one guy controlling the entire world economics. Yes, sure. Conspiracy theory much?
Sean Fraser, as the immigration minister, increases our population growth by literally 200% to 1.3 million people in a time when we're only building about 200,000 homes. And then, as a punishment for that failure, that catastrophic mistake, they then move him over to make him housing minister, where he gives us the single most...
Hey, did you guys know that Poilievre was supposed to be the finance minister for Harper, but then they took him out of it because they didn't like him? they removed him. he was supposed to be Harper's finance minister. I don't know if you guys knew that. Yeah, Poilievre was supposed to move up and into, after doing housing, by the way. Poilievre was the housing guy for Harper's government. So if you want to know why housing has been such a problem, and you want to know who's been voting against any type of thing to make building houses easier and more affordable, this guy's been voting against it every single time. And on top of it, he was supposed to be the finance minister, and Harper was like, yeah, maybe we don't. Cope and seethe, my friends, cope and seethe.
Most unaffordable housing market in the history of the country and among all G7 nations. And
we're back to the conversation where conservatives make the problem, point the finger at someone else, and then say they're the ones that are going to solve the problem that they made. Go look at Alberta.
We thought that maybe he had a little bit of shame. He was going to go into retirement, as you would think, after a catastrophic record of ruining both immigration and housing. He would want to disappear quietly into...
Oh, the projection is so strong on this one. Holy... Oh boy, brother. I don't think you want to talk about this.
Obscurity. But then Mark Carney said, the kind of guy who ruins housing and immigration is exactly the kind of guy I need back in my cabinet. And that's all you need.
Oh god, we're back to the cabinet picks. Okay, so I talked about this yesterday, but I'm going to talk about, I'll address this one more time. So, what did you want Carney to do? He knew he was going to be calling an early election. You want him to bring in a whole new team for 3 months? That all has to do a bunch of changeover and then do an election? No. It does, basically, Mark Carney did the pragmatic thing. And they're gonna shit on him for being smart. Because they're stupid. And he thinks his audience is dumb. He thinks everybody is fucking stupid. And that people won't realize. We'll see what Carney's choices are if he wins this election coming up on Monday. Which on Debate Hub Official, by the way, we're going to be following the election results. So me and Landon are going to be there. So if you're interested in that, I'm thinking about enabling like call-ins to let people kind of join us and have a chat with us and bring up their points or what they want to talk about. But that will be over on Debate Hub Official, so make sure you like and subscribe and follow and hit the bell and shit over there. But alas, go on, you dumbass.
To know about Mark Carney. Now, liberals would like you to forget about the last lost liberal decade. They say, let's just ignore it ever happened. Pretend it wasn't there.
Literally nobody's done that.
Even though all the same liberal MPs, liberal ministers, liberal advisors.
I would like to point out that at this point in time, Poilievre has had to drop 4 conservative candidates because of their just horrific behavior.
Are still running the Liberal show. But I'm here to tell you that that Liberal record is not just about the past. It's about a very dark future if they're reelected. Now, don't take my word for it. Look at this report. This is from the Government of Canada. It's got the logo of the government right here. Here, look real close to the media.
So let's just see what this says. Doesn't higher prices on housing mean that the country is growing and the government is trying to pay back its I'm assuming you mean own debt? So in the long run, 20 years, it will be better. So it depends on why and what is causing the housing inflation. And there's a few reasons. One of them is the global market. And so there are a couple of different ways to handle the situation. Unfortunately, the buy 20 houses, get one free, which is ostensibly the Poilievre plan for housing, is going to not only disproportionately affect, like, developers and people with a lot of money, it is not going to help the middle class. The way you judge an economy, using GDP is one thing, but it's only a part of the full equation if you're looking at a nation, right? So if you're looking at an entire nation, the way you judge how healthy and how good your economy in your nation is doing is you have to look at the middle class. You have to look at the working class. How is your working class faring? Because you can have a high GDP just because you have a lot of rich people in your country. But if a lot of rich people make up 2% of your population and the rest of your population is destitute, then you do not have a healthy economy because the money isn't moving. Money has to be moving. If money is not moving, then it's stagnating. And if you've ever seen stagnated water, it's not healthy for anything living in it. It has to be moving, right? So when you get people like Elon Musk, for example, hoarding a shitload of money, and you have people like Trump hoarding a shitload of money, because he definitely has money, right? It ends up being like, it stops the money from moving, dams and shores it up, and you have a bunch of people unhappy, unhealthy, not educated, not able to get where they want in life, not being able to, like, do anything with their lives, being unsafe. When you have poverty and desperation, you get more crime, etc., 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 etc. So wealth disparagement is a major, major problem. So if you want to talk about the economy, you can't only talk about GDP if you want to talk about the health of a nation.
You can't deny that it comes from the government. It says Canada at the bottom. It's got the Canada logo, and the government has confirmed this is a real document. And the reason I have to say that is because its findings are so horrific.
The reason I have to say this is because people won't believe me. Because I'm a lying liar who lies.
They predict what Canada...
One thing I do find interesting, by the way, is the conservatives that, like, the ones that were in here and other conservatives really do, like, for some reason, to give Poilievre the benefit of the doubt. And I don't know why. They're just like, yeah, but just believe him. And I'm like, why? He's a politician. Why aren't politicians known for, like isn't the meme, the stereotype is that politicians lie all the time? So why would we give a career politician a pass to just be like, oh, well, you know, maybe he'll do a good job? Like, I don't know why they're so lenient. It's odd to me. It's almost like it's identity politics or something, and they're not actually judging the policies. They're judging whether or not they don't like the liberals, because the liberals are colored in red and these guys are colored in blue, and blue is their favorite color of crayon for breakfast.
What it will look like on the current trajectory. Now let me turn to page 3, and the section is actually entitled, and I'm quoting here.
Did he say what the name of the document was? Hold on, let me pull this back, because I'm gonna probably look at this. What is this? Look at this report. What is it? Report of
If
what?
they're reelected. Now don't take my word for it. Look at this report. This is from the Government of Canada. It's got the logo of the government right.
Future lives social mobility in question. Okay, hold on. Future lives social mobility in question. And I'm going to point out real quick that I had to pause and read it off of the fucking screen because this guy isn't forthcoming with this fucking information. All right. Canada is horizonservicecanada.ca. There's also a Toronto Sun article, but we don't trust the Sun because that's fucking bought and paid for by America's shit. So let's take the actual document. There is a CBC one, but I'm gonna skip the CBC one because I don't fucking care. I believe this is what he's looking at. Future Lives Mobility in Question. Date published 2025-01-07. So this would have been January 7th. Introduction. He said policy implications. Is that what he said?
Right here. Here, look real close. The media can't deny that it comes from the government. It says Canada at the bottom. It's got the Canada logo. And the government has confirmed this is a real document. And the reason I have to say that is because its findings are so horrific. They predict what Canada will look like on the current trajectory. Now let me turn to page 3.
Okay, so here's the problem. As of January 7th, the current trajectory is a massive fucking change, right? With Trump doing what he's doing in the global markets, on top of, again, the plans that Carney has put forward for his... You have to address what he is or is not changing, and Poilievre's not going to do that. He's just going to say he's doing the same thing. But let's see.
And the section is
page 3, section
actually entitled, and I'm quoting here, "More Snakes Than Ladders."
More snakes than ladders. Okay. Introduction. More snakes than ladders. Okay, that's not even, is that all the way to page 3? Really? Okay. Introduction. So social mobility lies at the heart of the Canadian project. Many people in Canada assume that, quote, following the rules and doing the right thing will lead to a better life. Anyone can get an education, work hard, buy property, and climb the social and economic ladder. This is an informal but powerful promise, okay? However, things are changing. Wealth inequality is rising, true. Children are already less upward mobile than their parents. Yes, I would agree with that. Policy Horizons has explored some of these changes in Future Lives 2022 and Basic Needs at Risk 2023. More recently, the Disruptions on the Horizon of 2024 report suggests that downward social mobility might become the norm in the future. The scenario below paints a picture of Canada in 2024 in which most Canadians find themselves stuck in the socioeconomic conditions of their birth and may face the very real possibility of downward social mobility. Well, this is neither the desired nor the preferred future. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm already taking a bit of an issue with Poilievre's presentation here. So it's from the government, so suddenly we can trust it, even though this would have been the Liberals putting this together, right? Thinking about future scenarios help decision makers understand some of the forces already influencing their policy environment. Right. Oh, did I say 2024? Sorry, 2040. It can also help them test future readiness of assumptions built into today's policies and programs. Finally, it can help identify opportunities and take decisions today that may benefit Canada in the future. Cool. 2.0, 2040, more snakes than ladders. In 2040, upward social mobility is almost unheard of in Canada. Hardly anyone believes that they can build a better life for themselves or their children through their own efforts. However, many worry about sliding down the social ladder. The scenario identifies 6 main ways the world has changed since 2024. 2.1, post-secondary education. In 2040, pursuing post-secondary education is no longer considered a reliable path to social mobility. Tuition and housing costs exclude all but the wealthy. Relatively long program timelines mean significant opportunity costs. Inflexible programs cannot keep up with constantly evolving skill demands in the job market. Fewer young people choose PSE. Those who do see it less as a path to a successful career than a way to reinforce their membership in the elite. Housing. In 2040, owning a home is not a realistic goal for many. Most new homeowners get help from their family members. Some take out intergenerational mortgages and have several generations of family living together. Others enter alternative household mortgages with friends, yada, yada, yada. Intergenerational wealth. In 2040, people see inheritance as the only reliable way to get ahead. Social siloing. In 2040, people rarely mix with others of different socioeconomic status. Algorithmic dating apps filter by class. Aspirations and expectations in 2040, aspirations for social mobility among youth are at odds with exceptions of immobility. Advertising, marketing discourses continue to drive the desire to climb the social ladder, but economic realities leave most with limited expectations of success. Artificial intelligence in 2040, the value of human labor has shrunk because of artificial intelligence. AI is a widespread and can do many things well. In creative to knowledge fields, less work is available. Policy implementations. The scenario above would create a range of policy-relevant implications. The list of implications presented here is not exhaustive. Its purpose is to help policymakers broaden their models of the future to this end, readers should ask themselves the following questions as they consider the implications. How might social immobility or downward mobility challenge policy programs or people? How would the assumptions built in today's policy programs hold up in the face of challenges to social mobility, and what actions could be taken now to maximize opportunities and lessen the challenges to reduce and/or downward social mobility in the future? So, do we all understand what this says? You understand what this says, right? This is taking data and building a hypothetical to take it to its extreme, to learn from it, and to use it to make policies now to make sure these things don't happen. Right? We understand this? The Canadian economy should shrink or become less predictable. People's mental health may suffer. Workers may seek greener pastures elsewhere. Right, so, cool. So what's inside of the conservative policies that will ensure these things don't happen? And the answer is, if you read them, or listen to me reading them, they almost guarantee these things. But what's Poilievre gonna say? He's already presenting this as if this is the trajectory that Canada is on and will be on, and what the future will be if the Liberals get into power. That's what he's presenting. Dave, just a feeling Dave has. Again, we should all make our decisions based off of Dave's feelings. Dave, who was able to work and afford a house and build it himself. Dave is definitely in touch with today and the current economic market. Dave's feelings. Vote based on Dave's feelings.
I'm not kidding. That's why they wrote it. It's written down right here. In 2040, they predict, upward social mobility is almost unheard of in Canada. Hardly anyone believes they can build a better life for themselves or their children through their own efforts.
Oh no, he's taking it as he's actually trying to present this thing as if it's an actual, like, diagnostic prediction that the Liberals put out on their own. Why would they do that?
However, many worry about sliding down the social order. Now, this is bureaucraties, but I can translate. I've been reading bureaucraties in the government.
It really isn't. That is not difficult language. If your base thinks that that's difficult bureaucratic language, all that does is confirm to me that conservatives don't know how to read. Oh boy.
Long enough. What this means is, no matter how hard you work, you won't be able to get ahead. In fact, you might start falling behind. Then they say that pursuing a post-secondary education will no longer be considered.
I hope you feel better, Dave. Have a good day.
A reliable path to social mobility. In other words, you can study all you want, you can learn all you want, you still won't get ahead. Then they say, in 2040, people see inheritance as the only way to get ahead. Society, listen to this, society, and I'm quoting, society increasingly resembles...
Guys, I'm quoting the hypothetical.
An aristocracy. Wealth and status passed down the generations. Family background, especially owning property, divides the haves and the have-nots. In 2040,
does he not realize that this document is talking about that we need to take care of the middle class and that the working class and deal with wage disparagement and wealth inequality, and nothing in the conservative policies are going to deal with that. In fact, it's going to make it worse, which means that this projection would go from being in 2040 to 2032, like in 5 years from now.
people rarely mix with others of different socioeconomic status. In other words, there's a tiny group of aristocrats on the top, and everyone else is left behind. They don't even talk to each other. Then they go on to say in this report, the Canadian economy
classism, caste systems,
shrink and become less predictable. Property capital for investment in new enterprises may concentrate in the hands of a small
a lot of drugs are actually decriminalized in Canada.
Of very wealthy older people. Property ownership, and by extension wealth, may become even more concentrated if generations abandon the idea of single-family dwellings in favor of renting or forming alternative households. That's exactly the Liberal ideology, that nobody should own a home, everyone should just be stuck paying exorbitant rents in properties not big enough to raise families.
How? Where is that in the Liberal policy? Huh? Like, Carney's home building plan is a massive construction project for more homes to make them cheaper, as well as a GST waive and massive reduction for first-time homebuyers. That's a tax cut, and lessening the cost, and bringing jobs to Canada, and using Canadian lumber and Canadian contracting, which is jobs in Canada, which is working class pay, which is Canadian, like, not import export, homegrown, which is a tax cut. Like, I do not understand the right wing, like, they say they want these things, but what they actually want is they just don't want it from that guy. And again, we're back to, you're literally getting off the bus and choosing to get on a bus that's driving off a cliff because you don't like the bus driver. Like, it literally doesn't make any fucking sense. You don't have to like the fucking guy you're voting for if the guy is driving in the direction you want him to go in. Huh? And again, not a single conservative that has ever come in this chat today or yesterday or any time before that has ever actually provided any kind of reasoning as to why anybody should vote for this motherfucker. Not one!
Then they say people's mental health will suffer. More people struggle to afford rent, bills, and groceries. The resulting stress could worsen mental health challenges. This would increase demand for social services. Now, this last line is really most startling of all. They believe that people might have to look for alternative means of seeking sustenance because food prices will become so unaffordable that no longer will working class people be able to go to the grocery store anymore. So we will go from what we have now, which is people go up to the till, and when they're paying, they actually have to put things back in the bag and send them back because the bank account is emptied before they've gotten through the entire bill. Worse than
Poilievre, how fucking tone deaf do you have to be to not realize these things are already happening to a lot of Canadians? Why are you talking about projections and hypotheticals of 2040? These are already issues. There's already inflation problems. And that's with Canada having the highest growth in the G7. You would be better off talking about that there are problems like this that already exist and need to be addressed, and then talking about how you're going to address them, as opposed to, and why the Liberal Party's plans aren't going to work. Don't strawman them, just talk about what their plans are. I don't need to strawman Poilievre to tell you that his fucking pipeline plan is garbage and it's not going to work. I did that last time. You tell me why Mark Carney's housing plan isn't good and why it's not going to work, and then tell me what your plan is and why it is going to work. Now, admittedly, he's at a rally, but he hasn't done this any other place anyway, so
that. They say people will have to hunt, fish, and forage on public lands and waterways without reference to regulations. In other words, people...
Actually, quite frankly, having a, like, public fucking farm that anybody can go to and pick and get whatever they want from it actually kind of sounds like a kind of cool idea. And having those, like a couple locally around a city would be kind of fucking cool, I'm not gonna lie.
People will be in a position where they will need to feed themselves. That's right. That's a good point. You know, it's funny. You make a great point. We were on CBC the other day, had a panel about this report. And of course, the CBC talking head was saying, oh, come on, this is so...
Oh, no, he talks about journalists the exact same way like fucking Trump talks about journalists, because of course he is. The CBC talking head. Okay, who is he? Why is he a talking head? What are you talking about? Keep in mind, by the way, that Poilievre wants to defund the CBC rather than, make it better and fix it if there's a problem with it, which I don't really think there's much of a problem with it. You can go and double check and fact check CBC if you really want to. There's issues, don't get me wrong, it's not perfect, but it's not national post media.
Exaggerated. That's never going to happen in Canada. And to her credit, one of the Globe and Mail reporters said, wait a sec here, for a lot of Canadians, this is the way it is right now. My friends...
I'm sorry, are you saying that the CBC said something and then they had an opposing opinion that they presented on their show? Really? Oops. I'm assuming you didn't mean to say that. I'm assuming you didn't mean to admit that the CBC actually presents things and allows opposing views and multiple perspectives on their programming. Surely that's not what you meant to say.
There are people in this country just hanging on by a thread, and it is for those people that we are fighting. We are here to give them hope and change and a better future.
The red one is now upside down.
And we have the plan to do it. This is it. The Change book. Change. Change for an affordable life. Change for safe streets. Change for Canada First is our platform, newly released. A platform that cuts government spending by $55 billion with less bureaucracy, less consultants.
Yeah, that's Doge. He wants to Doge it. And then we can see how that's going in America.
Less foreign aid, less waste and mismanagement.
Why? What does that mean for Ukraine? Less foreign aid, that would include Ukraine. Right? What waste are you talking about? They're never specific. This is the exact same this is fucking Trump. This is Trump talking points. We do not want to be America. You want me to prove it to you again? He just praised the Globe and Mail. Canada say their relationship with Washington are just as bad as ties with Moscow. Only 16% of Canadians surveyed say that Canada has a good relationship with the United States, and 15% for ties with Russia. That's a 1% difference. We don't want to be America. We don't want to do what America is doing. It is objectively not working well for them. Objectively not working well for them. So why would we be like, oh yeah, let's just do the same fucking thing? Because I like the color blue. Eating blue crayons is delicious.
To bring...
By the way, investing in foreign aid is beneficial to Canada. It's beneficial for Canada to not allow Russia to just take over Europe. I don't know if you fucking understand this.
to bring down the deficit by 70%, reducing the amount we're adding onto our debt. We will cut income tax by 15% so your hard work pays off again.
Cutting 15% of income tax is basically nothing. That's basically nothing. That is a massive, that'll be a large amount of money for rich people who don't need more money, and will not be enough for you to afford a house. 15% income tax. And that's a 15% income tax cut. So it's not 15% of your total income. That's a 15% tax cut on the tax you're paying. That's not going to be enough. That's not going to be enough to it's especially not going to be enough when they cut your healthcare and privatize it. Will you make enough to cover a bone marrow transplant or a cancer treatment or prescription medications if you had 15% more of your income? Even insulin, for example? Because you know that if you privatize healthcare, insulin prices are going to skyrocket, right? Gonna be enough to pay your property tax? Gonna be enough to buy a house? If you got it let's call it 15 years. Only losers get sick, yeah. Yeah. Rochelle, that has been supplying modified versions of its armored truck to Ukraine, is starting a plant there so they can build them themselves, also opening operations in Germany and Poland. Yeah, you want to talk about foreign investment, look at what Canada's military is projected to do and what the Liberal Party is planning to do with the Canadian military. And what the Liberal Party has done for the Canadian military since Harper since Harper left office. Go look at the last 10 years of liberal investment in military. Who needs healthcare? I have an immune system. Yeah, I know, right? What are we going to do about that measles outbreak?
We will axe the sales tax on new homes so that you can save money and buy a place and put a roof over your head.
It doesn't matter. The sales tax are small potatoes to the total cost of a house in Canada right now. The sales tax is not cutting the sales tax does not bring down the total cost of the house and the mortgage. And 15% income tax is not going to make up that difference. Again, this only would benefit you one time if you're just a working class person. As opposed to, this is something, cutting a sales tax would greatly affect companies that are buying mass amounts of properties and then renting them out, for example, or buying mass amounts of properties and doing whatever the fuck they're doing with them. Reduced sales tax would just increase the price of a house.
And we will lock up the violent criminals the Liberals have put on the streets so you are safe in your community.
Yeah, yippee. More, that doesn't work. That doesn't do anything. Look at this. Look at this fucking number, motherfuckers. Incorrect, wrong, lies, fear-mongering. They're trying to control you with fear, motherfucker. This is not a fucking problem. This is a non-issue. Putting more people in jail doesn't make less crime. Prison is retroactive. It doesn't actually protect you ahead of time. It doesn't protect you from crime that's happened to you. So for somebody to be in jail, they have to have already done the crime. And it doesn't prevent crime. We know this. These are facts. The police are not preventative. Social programs are fucking preventative. Yeah, that's comfortingly low. Yeah. And part of, like, even why this number is slightly higher is because our population has increased. If the sales tax would be gone, people can just offer more for the houses, canceling it out. That's basic economics 101. Yep. But we know that Poilievre doesn't understand economics. He's never worked in the field. He hasn't studied this field. He doesn't know anything about economics. The same reason he doesn't know anything about negotiation. He's never been a part of any foreign policies. He's never done any foreign work when it comes to that, and he doesn't have a security clearance.
For a change. For a change. But you need a team to deliver that change. And that is why I'm so excited that we have Nova Scotia's former finance minister, Alan McMaster, as our candidate in Cape Breton. Cape Breton.
So they want to change by bringing back old people. That's not change. That's not progress. Are you trying to bank on nostalgia? Who was he the finance minister for? Let's find out. Public's accounts for 9 years, 2000. Oh, funny how they want somebody who worked at a bank here, but if Carney works at a bank, it's bad. Financial background. Can you tell me who you were the finance minister for? No, you're not going to tell me that? Okay, well. Let's try the Wikipedia. Who were you the finance minister for? When were you the finance minister? I mean, if you tell me when, I could work with that. First legislator introduced 2 bills: flexibility, retirement, locked accounts, sales tax. About the idea for the pension wind up. Bills would have been legislators re-elected in 2013 as 2021. Deputy Premier, Minister of Finance and Treasurer, 2021. In 2021. Oh, for the Conservative Party. Okay. So yeah, he's finance minister for the opposition. Okay. Noted.
Coming up here, Alan. Good to see you. Thank you very much. You're excited to deliver some change for the people of Nova Scotia?
I sure am. We need it. I love these people. I go to the doors. They're the people I see. They're the people I want to represent. Nation.
And then, of course, we have the great Dave Carroll. Come on up here, Dave. Hi, Dave. They sent him off to another
phone.
You're so trained to it. All of now, does anybody have an ache or a pain? Because we got a doctor in the house. Bring the doctor up here, Stephen Ellis. Take a medical terrible like Monsieur Marc Boudreau. Thank you very much, guys. Way to go. The great former Conservative Party President Rob Batherson. Get up here, Rob. Senator, how are you? A legacy. Everyone give it up for Bryson Jenkins.
Is it weird that all of these guys that he's calling up all look the same?
Stuck with Justin Trudeau.
Oh my god, fucking Justin Trudeau, shut up. Good god, he's still begging and begging for fucking Trudeau. Unbelievable. I haven't met a single liberal who was as attached to Justin Trudeau as fucking Poilievre and his Maple MAGA conservatives. Fucking Christ. No, it's likely after 10 years Trudeau would have resigned regardless. The slander was horseshit anyway. And that man went through a bunch of garbage that he should not have had to go through as an elected official, because there should be adults doing elected official shit, unlike fucking Poilievre, who behaves like a fucking goddamn petulant child. But regardless, there are things that Trudeau did that I don't agree with, and things that I liked, or things that I was like, I don't feel great about this, but I understand the thing. Be like, you know, a reasonable person. These fucking people are obsessed with this man, and it's fucking weird. It's so fucking weird. Like the Orange Man Menace talking about Biden all the time. Absolutely. It's so fucking bizarre. All right. Motivation's here. They want Pierre to be PM. Why? I believe in you. Please. Why should we vote? Please tell us. Why should we vote for Poilievre? Why should we vote for him? I beg of you. Tell me why. Will you be the one? Will you be the one to break the streak of losers who have not succeeded in doing so? I believe in you. Let's go. Come on. Give me your why.
We thought it couldn't get any worse. Well, meet Mark Carney. He thought...
I like that they're trying to present Mark Carney as worse than Justin Trudeau after spending 5 years trying to, like, earn a bunch of Russia money, trying to slander Justin Trudeau, and Carney's coming in here with, like, a really good resume, and a really good resume compared to Poilievre, so, like, this is gonna be a hard sell.
He thought that the roughly $110 billion of new debt that Trudeau had already budgeted for the next 4 years was not enough. So he presented his platform on Saturday, which adds another $130 billion of debt and inflation on top of that.
No, inflation does not inherently get added because you have debt. That's not how economics works. All right, so that's just wrong. That's not correct. And again, if we want to talk about national debt, I will pull it up again. Because I pulled it up yesterday, but we will pull this up one more fucking time. This is the current national debt clock. So if you want to see it, but we can check what was the debt at different times, right? So let's take a look at, can I get like this? Will this be better? Yeah, can you guys see that okay? Yeah, you guys can see that okay. All right, let's check the debt at the end of Harper's administration. All right, so the debt during the end of Harper's administration was 2015, right? 2015, 2016. Oh, this only goes to 2013. Well, that's depressing. Well, fine. We'll do it a different way then. Canada's national debt, Harper administration. Let's try that. Canada's national debt. Is this gonna give it to me? Ooh, that's fucking zoomed in. No, that's not the one I wanted. Where's the one that I had yesterday? Fiscal imbalance. During the 2016 campaign, Harper promised the provinces, including Quebec and Ontario, to deal with the issue of fiscal imbalance. When 2006 budget was announced, there was a commitment to deal with the matter, but little money was used for it. No funding was used when the finance minister, Jim Flaherty, announced a $13 billion surplus. The Bloc Québécois threatened to topple the government if the Tories did not give an additional $3.9 billion to Quebec. Support for the Conservatives in Quebec was up during the 2006 election campaign due to Harper's promise to deal with the matter. On January 16, 2007, an article in the Montreal newspaper, La Presse, reported that the federal government would give an additional $1.5 billion in transfer payments and another $500 million for post-secondary education and infrastructure. Several premiers from other provinces criticized the plan. Saskatchewan Finance Minister Andy Thompson asserted that the government was using revenue from the oil industry in the West to gain votes in Quebec. During 2007 budget, in March 19th, 2007, Flaherty announced an extra $2.3 billion to go to Quebec, while some provinces will get extra money. Do we remember that there was a massive fucking financial crisis in 2008 during Harper's administration? We remember that that's a thing too, right? Like, let's just say national debt in 2015. 2015. Sorry, motivation. I'll get to you in a second. Here we go. Financial records. Hey, here it is. This is what I was looking for. Achieved annual finance report from 2014 to 2015. So this was Canada's national debt at the end of 2015. Ta-da! It's $612.3 billion as of March 31st, 2015. All right, so let's check Canada's national debt in 2024. (2023-2024) fiscal year. We have to go a little bit further down because it operates within annual operating deficit of $61.9 billion. So Harper left Trudeau a debt of $621.3 billion, and Trudeau resigned with $61.9 billion. This includes COVID. So what if you add $100 billion to the debt? Why is that a problem? It was fine for Harper to do it. If they added $100 billion, they would still be well below. Yeah, go on. Oh, the federal debt, the difference between total liabilities stood at $1,236.2 billion. There you go. That's total assets, though. We didn't look at total assets for Harper either. Because if you want to pull down total assets, it's further down. Oh, no, I was. I was right the first time. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, including COVID. 1,263. So what if we add $100? Or 100,000? That's not right. 100. Yeah. So what if we do? So let's go to, where's the record expenses? Government posted annual operating deficit. Right. So what's the annual operating deficit for them? Revenues. Where is it? Federal debt, operating. Am I blind? Remaining element programs, corporate, operating. No, where's the operating numbers? Oh, let's take a look at the charts. Yeah, there's a whole fucking thing for the pandemic. Yeah, that sounds about right. Here you go. Budget growth. 3.4, 0.3, 1.5, 2.3, annual 4.2, right? Nominal GDP growth, 3-month treasury bill rate, 10-year consumer price index. Budgetary balance, the government posted budgetary deficit or annual operating deficit of $61.9 billion, compared to a deficit of $35.3 billion in 2022 and 2023. Ta-da! Here's your chart. There's fucking COVID. This is Harper, by the way. 2009, 2012, 15. He was voted in 2005, 2006, right? Ta-da! And then, of course, COVID. Revenues were up $11.7 billion, or 2.6%. Wow, it's almost like investment, and it takes time for that investment to pay back. So the school lunches that Trudeau put forward, right, is going to show as a negative this last fiscal year, or the next fiscal year, we'll see, probably next fiscal year, that he's budgeted out. And it'll show as a deficit, right? Right? No. The budget has never. No. The debt has never been zero. That's not what it shows. Let me show you the graph again. This is percent of GDP, my friend. So the benefits and the money back from Trudeau paying for kids' lunches won't be seen for 30 plus years, right? Because it's starting now. So if you want to know how much money Trudeau made, by the way, you want to talk about how much money Trudeau made? Hold on one second. Look at this. I'll show you something really funny. Ontario cannabis stores earned $234 million. That's fucking great. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. I just think that one's funny. All right, so let's see. Let's see what motivation is saying. Let's go back here. What do you got for? Oh, this is the crime rates. Hold on. Let's go back to where were we? Finances. Where's finances? Here we go. Net debt. There you go. There you go. There's your net debt. Federal debt. Ta-da. Okay. Trudeau added more to the debt. Of course he added more to the debt. COVID happened. What did you think was gonna happen? Would you rather people die? Like, of course a bunch of money got added to the debt. Do I need to scroll this back up? Do you see this? And then how high up it went immediately? You guys actually not know how to read? I'm amazing. It must be a magic 8-ball. Okay, so no, hold on. Motivation said that they were going to give us reasons for why we should vote for Poilievre. Focus on economic issues. So why should we pick Poilievre over The Economist for economic issues? Because Carney is also focused on economic issues and has more experience and has a more solid plan that he's presented. So, I'm scrolling up. Calm down. have some patience, motivation. I understand that you're motivated and raring to go. Stance on freedom and small government. Have you read the conservative policy plan? It's yes no. You can just yes no me. Before I elaborate, can you yes no me real quick? Have you read it? First link on page 6 of what I'm looking at, of this. Whoops. Total national. Nope. First link on page 6. Let me pull this up. While I wait for a yes or no. Have you read the plan. The conservative blah blah blah. Am I clicking on policy operations or am I clicking on the Wikipedia? Come on, motivation, you were so fast. Why is this taking so long to get a yes or no? You were so fast to tell me to scroll up. Why is this so slow for yes, no? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The Wikipedia? Motivation, yes or no? Bro, yes or no? See, conservatives don't know how to have a conversation. Yes or no? Have you read the conservative policies? Yes or no? Okay, thank you. Yes. The one that they published in 2023. So you know that inside of it is putting in more government, right? So you know that that's actually expanding government. So that's more government bureaucracy. Right? Yes or no? You know yes or no? Bro, pay attention, man. Come on. Okay, well, you're gonna have to go back and watch those videos then, where I do in fact explain it multiple times. You don't know that they want to put in more bureaucracy? Do-do-do. What about their Doge painting of canceling of programs? What about that? You think that would be, you know, that's more bureaucracy, right? You know that you have to build a team that then has to go through and has to review everything and then make the proposition to then make the cut, right? That's more bureaucracy. That's more government work to do that. Right? You know that? You can follow along that to do those reviews costs money and you have to hire people to do the reviews and do the audits and then figure out which one it needs to be cut and which one isn't on programs that are already functional and within budgetary constraints, so it's actually a waste of money. Yeah? Alright, so, no, not small government, actually more government, more restrictive government. Let's see. Tough on crime. Are you talking about the tough on crime that was deemed unconstitutional? Are you talking about Poilievre's statements of wanting to use the notwithstanding? The notwithstanding clause? Are you talking about the plan that he's trying to bring back from Harper's time? Because that's not change. That's bringing back old shit that didn't work. And some of which was deemed unconstitutional. Why you got so quiet all of a sudden? Damn, are you sure you read this document? Energy and resources. You mean that his Trumpian drill baby drill plan, which I have already extensively explained is a bad plan because the world is moving away from oil, which means oil is going to be less and less profitable over time and is not a resource that is going to last forever. So Poilievre wants to invest a shitload of money into a dying fucking resource with zero plan or protections that actually ensures any of that money or those jobs are actually going to be done through Canada and bring Canada money. And it's actually just a bunch of money for rich people? God, why did you get so... Where'd you go? Where'd you go? What happened? The Economist? Why are you putting Economist in quotations? Are you suggesting that Mark Carney is not an economist? So you're just spouting bullshit. How is oil a dying resource if there's a more demand year over there? Because you think the number goes up forever? What are the Paris Accords? Again, tell me what the Paris Accords are real quick. It's okay, I'll wait. Tell me what the Paris Accords are. I pulled this up. Feline, what am I looking for on here? Page 6. All right. Page 6 in the PDF or page 6 on the in the document? This one? This one that shows it in red and blue about who's good for the economy and who's not? This goes to 2015. Two adjustments were made to enable us to more easily compare the changes in federal debt over a long period of time. 2019, we accounted for changes of general price level using the GDP deflator. The starting year for the analysis of the federal debt in 1870, since the year it was the first year in which the GDP deflator price index is available. Figure 1 exhibits the federal gross debt inflation adjusted from 1870 to 2019. The colors in the area graph are either orange or blue, representing each prime minister's affiliated political party during their tenure. Areas in orange indicate levels for liberal prime ministers, while conservative prime ministers are displayed in blue. Wow, it's almost like when you read a chart and you actually adjust the numbers, the math does not work out in your favor. You do realize that the Conservative Party also benefits from policies started that then you see the money for during the Conservative tenure? You know how time works? This is like saying Trump started with a really good has a really good economy by looking at the first like month, which was all Biden, which is all Biden stuff. Here, and we're back to look at this. Look at what motivation is saying. And understand this. Can you look at the camera and say that your life is better now than it was 10 years ago? Selfish. No empathy, no understanding of any of these topics, no understanding or ability to communicate. It's selfish. What the country is doing is not based on an individual. I'm going to say yes, because I do think my life is better now than it was 10 years ago, absolutely. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all, because my individual experience does not dictate how the country needs to be run. And this is exactly the fucking problem that you get with conservatives. Your life isn't everyone's life and isn't necessarily the same for everybody else. Just because you're not gay doesn't mean that gay people shouldn't be allowed to get married. Just because you don't think abortion is a good thing, or just because you don't want to get an abortion, or you think abortion is immoral, doesn't mean other people shouldn't be allowed to make choices in their own life without government interference. Sorry, that's not how it works.
Now, let's be clear about this. If you add up the debt that Trudeau had planned and the...
Wait, hold on. Conservatives want small government but think that the government well-being of their life depends on the government? Yeah, you really think that it's less government or smaller government to dictate whether or not people have access to Medicare? Like, it's self-contradictory. And like I said, they have not provided an actual reason yet. They posted vagaries. It's vague to say, focused on the economy. Yeah, everybody's focused on the economy. That's not a reason to vote for Poilievre. The conservatives the conservatives, the NDP, the Green Party, the Bloc, fucking the liberals are all talking about the fucking economy. That's not actually a reason to vote for Poilievre. That's just something that they care about. Tell me why I should vote for Poilievre. We've got another failure on our hands here, everybody. Good job! That doesn't even include people getting in and out of abusive relationships. Yeah.
Promises that Carney has since made, and if you believe that they're even telling the truth and it's not worse than that, the Liberals plan to add $250 billion to our national debt if they are reelected.
And we're back to conservatives don't understand what the word investment means. You might think that the investment is bad, but don't pretend it's something it's not. Right? So you might say, hey, listen, they're going to add this amount of debt in this thing, and this thing isn't going to pay us back. Right? That's fine. That makes sense. Then tell me why. Right? But if you want to have a conversation, and you want to say, hey, listen, they're going to add a bunch of money to our debt. Okay, what are they putting it into? Is it going to pay back? That's what an investment is. You have to put money into something. That's what an investment is. So we're back to, yeah, Trudeau spent a bunch of money to feed children. And let's pretend like we're not going to talk about how it's absolutely immoral and you're a piece of garbage if you're a fucking conservative trying to be on a high horse being like, no, well, children shouldn't be allowed to have cancer patient children shouldn't be allowed to have popsicles because we're cutting their funding because wasteful debt, wasteful government spending, because that's what happened. That's what happened in Alberta. I'm not making that up. So not only are you a horrific monster and an immoral piece of shit, but also you're going to see the return on that money. The return you see on the money for feeding kids during school is those kids being educated, getting jobs, and paying taxes. And you see it 30 years down the road. Not 20, 30 years. Harper's debt as percent of GDP went from... Sorry, which number was supposed to be 106? The last one, I assume? Harper's debt went from, as percentage of GDP, went from 69.9 to 92.0, while Trudeau's went from 92.0 to 106.1. Care to explain that one, guys? Motivation, where'd you go? You're so involved in economics. Where'd you go? Come back. I think taking on debt to children suffering from cancer can get popsicles is a worthwhile debt and a benefit to society. Yeah, it's almost like that benefits you also monetarily, by the way. That's still an investment that pays back in dividends. Because it eases a parent's mind and a parent's burden so they can continue to participate and pay taxes. Mental health is part of the overall health of a nation. Again, these are also conservatives who say, conservatives out there, hey, is debt bad? Yes, no. Chat, yes, no. Y or N? Is debt bad? Yes, no. Come on, where are you guys? You were so busy in here. Why are you so slow at this? No. It depends. But for a country, no. Motivation equals insecure and no motivation. Typical, yeah. Yes and no. One government debt is another man's profit. Do you see what I mean? Do you see what I mean? Debt is something that nations trade amongst themselves. China will buy, or like Poland will buy debt of Canada debt from China, so now we own Poland money. Like, debt is just one thing of a big fucking cog. It's really not that, like, debt isn't bad inherently. It's just a part of what we do. Having zero debt is not possible for a nation. It doesn't make any sense. You're going to have surpluses here, you're going to have debt here, and the point is the balanced budget, right? But having 0 doesn't mean you're succeeding. What you wanted to have is what you don't want is you don't want stuff like, no, where did it go? Where did it go? Ah, where is it? Where did it go? No, you don't want stuff like this. First off, we want to talk about wasteful spending. Where'd that chart go? Here. You don't want stuff like this. Right? This isn't good. This is fine. This isn't good. This is too far. You'll notice that the conservatives go this far down and the liberals never go this far down except for COVID. Right? You want to be floating in and around here, right? You don't want it all the way down here. This is bad. But this is COVID. This is an exception. This is extenuating circumstances, right? So what you don't want is you don't want to be dead in the middle, and you don't want to be way down here. You definitely don't want to be here. If this was like if this was what the liberals were doing, I would 100% be on your side. If this was all the time and constantly what the liberals were doing, but if the liberals were doing what Poilievre is saying they're doing, then what you would see is you would see a downward trend, and you do not see a downward trend. Yeah, this was a big recession. Yeah. But if we're going to blame Carney for this global recession, then why are we not blaming Harper for this one? Which, by the way, Carney helped this growth out of, by the way. This was dealt with and managed by Carney to help bring it back to this area. Then we have this and this, which are, and the only time that the liberals got as low as Harper did was during COVID. Guys, and expect our debt to go up because we're facing national crises, like from international players. Trump's tariffs are a big deal. We're going to go into national debt. But you have to stop fear-mongering about it as if we're going to fucking drown the country. That's not how it works. It's okay, calm down. I know you're all very, very upset and very, very concerned, but if you're going to make the economy your main issue, please fucking understand what the hell you're talking about. Do you notice how this is higher than this? Do you notice that this, before fucking Harper, was in the positive? These are the liberals, motherfucker. This is the liberals, and then it fucking drops like a fucking rock when Harper's allowed to do shit, and then Carney pulls it up and out. And then it floats around. And then COVID happened. This is a fucking recession. Guys, you remember? Where did they go? Hey, how come motivation is gone? Where did you come back? Fucking idiot. God, these people are losers. Fucking absolutely delusional. They don't know what they're talking about. But here we go. Ta-da! 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 So yes, expect the debt to go up. This is what I mean. Did I not give them the opportunity to look at the numbers? Did I not give them the opportunity to look at the graphs and read and understand them? Or did they just look at the graph and say, haha, they're number big, liberal bad? Yeah, of course. Exactly. The conservatives are a national emergency. Well, you know. I would say fascism would count as a national emergency, so I would say Pierre Poilievre's shit is I would call it under that. So let's watch the Mark Carney for 8 minutes and see how he goes. Handshaking, yada yada yada. I'm gonna skip through that.
Thanks for coming to be our prime minister.
Can I point out that there's a really big ethnicity difference between, like, the people around Mark Carney and the people around Poilievre? Everybody that Poilievre is shouting out is just, like, they all look the same. Whereas Carney is not the same. There's varying peoples. Go figure. These are both in Nova Scotia, by the way.
All right.
Yeah, you missed me dunking on a whole ass conservatives not knowing what the fuck or how to read a goddamn chart and what these numbers mean at all, because idiot conservatives still think that what Poilievre is saying about national debt is one, that debt equal bad all the time, and two, that the Liberal Party has been driving the country into debt, which is definitively not what this chart shows. And also, COVID happened, and then it bounced back. And again, I would like to point out that Canada currently has the highest fucking economic growth rate in the G7, and has the lowest inflation rate in the G7, and this chart literally shows that. And that the Liberals have never put the country in more debt than Stephen Harper did outside of extremely extenuating circumstances of COVID, which was spending that was approved by the Conservative Party also. Anyway, yeah, the thing you missed was conservatives don't know how to math and don't understand economics. So now we're moving on to Carney.
Just so everyone can, absorb this. This is the autographed Gordie Howe hockey puck. He literally wrote on it, elbows up. It's a message.
Oh, Smitty, you missed that. You missed the ChatGPT part. I covered that at the beginning. Pierre Poilievre is named #1 spreader of disinformation in Canada by ChatGPT. I pulled that one up. Special. All right, let's get into Carney.
The Canadians. God, Alana, thank you very much, and the Lorraine family. It is a thrill to be in Cumberland County, Cumberland, Colchester. Listen, this is a remarkable community, and I want to observe a few things at the start. It's a tight-knit community that has been through triumph and tragedy, and I know that just 5 years ago.
Oh, and all the conservatives that were in the chat ran away because they don't like numbers and math and facts, as per usual. I gave them a whole opportunity to recognize the numbers, and they were like, yeah! Feline corrected you, ree! As if, that didn't make my point. As if, I was actually wrong, and I absolutely was not. Amusing.
The Portapique tragedy touched many here, and friends and family came together, and I want you to know that you're all in our thoughts and prayers, and it's a testament to how this community came together and has moved forward. So,
to be fair, though, if you look at Carney's military spending plan, yo, he do be cooking. Yo, Carney do be cooking, though. If you look at what his plan is and what the results of those plans might be, Carney do be cooking. So if Canada is cooked, I'm a little bit here for it.
I want to acknowledge whose porch I'm standing on. The Lorraine family. And the contribution of this family. Ed, the great Ed Lorraine, MPP, longtime MPP, Minister of Agriculture. And through the family now, serving as counselors. It's okay, we'll get to the World Economic Forum in a moment, guys. I'm just getting sorry, just waiting, listening for the orders coming. Oh no.
Oh, you must be getting orders from China.
Some things never change. You got to move on. We got to move on as a nation. Also, the great Minister of Agriculture, Federal Minister of Agriculture, Cody Blois here. Jaime Batista, Senator Jim Cowan, Bill Casey, and Chief Glode of the Mi'kmaq Nation. Thank you all. Thank you all for coming and everything you represent. Man, elbows up. This guy is suited up. You are suited up. He's got... Okay, we're going to be playing some hockey later on, I hope. All right, I just want to say a few words about
Dave, you got a citation for that statement?
the situation we're in, because it's communities like this, people like you coming together, uniting positively, almost all united. There's still 7 days to go for all of us to get united, but united positively in all seriousness to face the biggest crisis of our lifetime.
Tom Riddle says both conservatives and liberal governments in the past have not kept up with the NATO 2% of GDP spending on defense guidelines. Correct. Trudeau's liberals have been slowly ramping up to 2%. Carney's plan speeds up that ramp to 2% faster.
It is the biggest crisis of our
Look at
lifetime.
this! This is how conservatives respond. They make a statement when somebody asks them for a citation? Question marks. Do you not know what a citation is? It means you made a statement. Where did you get your information from to that verify or justify your statement? What's the citation? Where did you get that from? Good God. They're so stupid. Do you think the Earth is flat? I'm just curious.
Times, because what has happened is that the U.S. is trying to break us as a nation because they want to own us. And that is not an exaggeration. They want our land, they want our resources, they want our water, they want our country, and the answer is right here. Never, ever, ever, ever.
Court said you were going to ask if they were YEC. I was thinking that too. At this point, I'm not... Normally, I'm usually pretty chill about being like, oh, you're just ignorant, you don't know what you're talking about. But no, I'm not... I have no reason to give these people the benefit of the doubt at all. So until you're starting at the rung of you need to prove to me you can have a conversation. So far, every conservative has failed to do so. And not a single one has come with a proper citation. Not a single one has actually been able to even tell me why I should vote for conservatives. Not one. So, Carney still with the WEF. Do you have a citation for that? Sorry, I was asking if he is still with the WEF. I don't know, look. Go check. Go do something for yourself.
Now,
You're a big adult. You can do it.
I'm hoping this isn't going to happen in the ball hockey game in a moment, but Canadians, no, when someone else drops the gloves, we know what to do. And in this trade war, just like in hockey, we will win. We will beat the Americans. You know why we're going to win? We're going to win because we're united and they're divided and they're going to get weaker and we're going to get stronger. And we're going to do three things. We're doing three things right now. First, we are fighting. We are fighting back with tariffs of our own to have a maximum impact in the U.S. and a minimum impact here in Canada. Okay? Cody's making sure that the agriculture industry, the sector, is protected, right? But we are also protecting our workers and those industries that are most affected. Okay.
Tom says the WEF is an international economic policy talking club. I'll never understand how it became a conservative weird talking point. Because conservatives don't know what economics are and don't know how to have a conversation. So they think people talking amongst themselves is a conspiracy. Because they're fucking stupid. Because everything is a fucking conspiracy. Because they don't want to look at facts. They don't want to look at numbers. They don't know how to read them in the first place. Economics is way too complicated. Climate change is too complicated. They don't understand that things take more than one step and take time. They don't understand that nuclear power plants take time to build. These people are fucking brain dead. Actually, Dave in the chat, brain dead. Completely fucking brain dead. See? Thank you for proving my point. They're just fucking trolls that don't know fucking anything about anything. If I go to a conference, am I now partaking in a conspiracy or something? Conferences have been a thing for centuries? Yeah, go figure. 80% of the world populations eat insects on a regular basis. I told you, they're brain dead. They don't know what they're talking about. They're too busily guzzling leftover cum from Russia, spat out through Poilievre's asshole. That is what is happening. And that is how these people deserve to be treated, because that is all they're doing. They are trying to feed you leftover Russian cum that they've sucked out of Poilievre's asshole. Let me be fucking clear. Let me get up right close so you fucking understand the type of people we're dealing with. These people are currently trying to feed you secondhand cum from Putin that they have sucked out of Poilievre's asshole. All right, one more time. These people are trying to feed you secondhand Russia propaganda cum that they have sucked out of Poilievre's asshole. That's it. It's not complicated. It's really not fucking complicated. If you're voting conservative this year, that's the type of person you are. That's who you are. You're a fucking idiot, and you should be written off and put into a corner with a dunce cap on, and you can just fucking stay there.
Okay, we're getting financing into agriculture. We are supporting those in the steel industry and the auto industry.
Oh, they're crying about the language. Oh, what a fucking snowflake. Are you trying to language? You're trying to police what words I'm allowed to use? On my own channel? What about free speech? I thought people were allowed to say what they wanted. Now you want to police language? Oh, man, I'm so surprised that the conservative is a lying fucking hypocrite. Go fucking figure.
And tell me how I should arrange my furniture. What a fool you are! Skeleton divine death.
Cry harder, you fucking snowflake.
And we will keep doing it as long as it takes. But the biggest thing we're doing is...
And the weird misogyny starts. They're so fucking weird. So fucking weird.
We are building this big country because we are in control of our future. It doesn't matter what Trump says on X. It doesn't... Or
coping and seething, yeah.
Whatever his thing is, his tweets. We can build the millions of houses with Canadian technology, Canadian workers, and Nova Scotia lumber. And that...
Wow, you mean building the homes, using Canadian, bringing it home, building Canadian jobs, building Canadian infrastructure, utilizing Canadian resources with a tax cut. Tell me, why is Poilievre lying, and why should I vote for him when Carney is literally explaining to people how he's going to do the things that the conservatives say that they want?
That's what we're going to do. All right? We can build new trade corridors through the Port of Halifax with reliable trading partners for a change. We are building our new ships and icebreakers in this great province to secure our Arctic and protect ourselves from threats that also come from south of the border, as well as across the ocean.
So economically, how does that compare to axing the tax at a 15% income tax cut? Crunch the numbers for me, conservatives. Go on, crunch me the numbers. How does investment in home building and local resourcing and Canadian jobs with Canadian lumber compare, on top of a GST cut, tax break for first-time homebuyers, compare to a sweeping sales tax cut which benefits corporations more than the middle class, if at all benefiting the middle class, and a 15% income tax cut? Do the math. Show me your math. Then we can have a fucking conversation about it.
And we can build a better health. Climate change, we're working on climate change too. In a sustainable way that grows this economy. You know what we're doing on climate change is we're getting the big polluters, We got rid of the carbon tax. Did you guys notice that? We got rid of the carbon tax. We listened.
Oh, you mean that the Liberal Party listened and axed the tax? So why should I vote for Poilievre? If Carney's already doing everything that I would want him to do as a conservative, as in having economic presence, cutting taxes, focusing on energy building and building homes and building fucking shit, the things that the conservatives say they care about, why would I vote for Poilievre, who doesn't have a plan that is going to do those things, versus Carney, who has a plan that is planning on doing those things? Conservatives, real conservatives that actually want these things that they say that they want, and don't just want it to be handed out to them, because it takes work, believe it or not, to get these things that you want. It's not just a fucking handout. You don't just get handed this shit, conservatives. You have to put in the work to do it. So, are you willing to put on your big boy pants and actually do the work instead of just demanding handouts via tax cuts that will actually do the opposite of what you say you want? Or are you willing to actually put your money where your mouth is and actually do the fucking work that is necessary and sometimes unpopular to get what you fucking want and get the things that you say you fucking want? If you want less taxes and you want more affordable homes, axing the sales tax doesn't do shit for you. It helps businesses buy up large swaths of land, driving the cost upwards, and gives you next to fucking nothing. If anything at all. Carney is literally telling you he is doing and has implemented plans to do things and has already done things that you want. And you're still bitching and moaning and whining and complaining about fucking bullshit. Because that's all you are, a bunch of fucking whiny-ass, fucking entitled snowflakes who want nothing but fucking handouts and to regress everything backwards because you're fucking miserable and happy with your life and are more comfortable sucking out Putin cum from fucking Poilievre's asshole. And you're pathetic.
We listened, and we got rid of the carbon tax. In fact, Cody and Jaime were like on me from day one. So I was like, okay, we'll get rid of it. We got rid of it on day one. But we're changing the system so that the big polluters pay you if you want to insulate your home.
Keep crying, you insufferable losers.
If you want to drive a more fuel-efficient car, you make the choice, they pay for your business, for your household. That's the right way to do it. Doesn't come from your tax dollars and moves the country forward. Okay.
Wow, not stagnating costs. It's almost like the economists know something about economy.
Now, we have a choice. I'm almost finished. We have a choice. I'm almost finished, guys. We have a choice in this election, and it's all seriousness. The choice is about coming together and building, coming together, being positive, or to divide, to import slogans, divisiveness, negativity.
Importing slogans is actually really funny. So Poilievre and Jordan Peterson were claiming that Carney and Trudeau invented racism. That racism didn't exist in Canada until the Liberals took power. Make that make sense. And tell me how that's not absolutely fucking insane and shouldn't just straight up disqualify someone from running for any office whatsoever. Yes, they said that. Yep. It's okay, I'll wait for you to get over your shock and appall. Yeah. And that they invented it and imported it from America. Yeah. So the irony that Poilievre has imported his politics from conservative, Russia-fed talking points from America is pretty fucking funny. How can they invent it and import it? They can't. No. They brought it in Pandora's box, Feline, obviously. Star-spangled Pandora's box. Am I the only one who thinks that the story of the liberal operatives who distributed Stop the Steal buttons at the conservative event was a great troll? That is very funny. Yeah, the right wing in this conservative party are not like actual conservatives, and I'm not trying to do the no true Scotsman fallacy. I'm saying definitionally, conservatives want progress and want the country to do well. They just tend to want to do things slower in a more conservative way that is more cautious. But the point is to still make progress, just slower. That's not what these conservatives are. This is a co-opt that was started by Harper. When the Reform and CPP or whatever the fuck they're called, the two conservative parties consolidated into one because the consolidation was about wanting to win elections. That was it. It was just greedy motherfuckers wanting to win elections, and that's what we're seeing the end of right now. That's what we're seeing. This is late game. We just want to win elections. And Harper lost so badly. Again, I would like to remind everybody that Harper's policies and the effect that they had on the people were so bad that the conservatives lost so badly, even with their coalition. They lost so badly that they didn't even get the opposition. The NDP got the opposition. That's how bad. That was Trudeau's win. Trudeau won that. And that's how much everyone hated fucking Harper. So you want to tell me that for a change, Poilievre wants to bring back stuff from Harper's administration? Harper's administration that everyone hated so much when they were given a 10-year opportunity to do all the shit that Poilievre says he wants to do now? And it drove the country into the fucking ground? That shit? Again, was so unpopular when you actually had to experience it, that they didn't even get the opposition. Why would we give these policies that were so bad and so unpopular and so awful for our country another chance? We shouldn't. There's no reason. That's why. There's a reason why no conservative has ever been able to come into this side chat and say why anybody should vote for Poilievre or vote for the Conservatives. Because they don't have a reason. It's just how they feel about it. And then when you present them with facts, they whine, cry, bitch, and moan, and shit their pants. That's what's happened every single time so far. And it will always be what happens every single time so far until conservatives learn to fucking tie their shoes.
From the United States to use their playbook to become weaker. This country, this county, this country is coming together. We are Canada strong. We are going to win. Just one thing. We need your support. Alana needs your support. I need your support. We got 1 week to go. Let's go out and win this. Thank you very much. Let's go have some fun.
That's it. Poilievre can't go 30 seconds without bringing up Trudeau or Carney. He doesn't have a plan. The plans that they have put forward that as a conservative party that they haven't rescinded or changed are objectively fiscally irresponsible, are objectively bad for people and individuals, are more bureaucracy, are more government overreach into telling you what to do with your with what to do with your life. If you actually look at the facts of the matter, it's going to make a conservative who is pro Poilievre and pro the Conservative Party very, very fucking uncomfortable, because the thing that you actually want is being presented by the Liberal Party. And that's going to be uncomfortable and too fucking bad. Be uncomfortable then. Get over it. Grow the fuck up. This is a federal election, not fucking grab ass in your fucking grandma's backyard 20 years ago. Get the fuck out of here. I'm going to be live later tonight at 9 p.m. on the Debate Hub official. So if you want to see us talking about politics, world politics, and everything that's anything and everything that's been going on the fucking planet in relation to humans and not humans, we're gonna be over there. I know Dapper has a special thing he wants to talk about this fucking direwolf thing that happened this month. We are gonna get out of here, so like and subscribe, and we'll see you over on Debate Hub official. I'm getting out of here. Go away. I hate all of you. Fuck this shit. I'll see you tomorrow at this time. Tomorrow, I'll be here doing more of this. We looked at Nova Scotia today. We'll probably look at Ontario next. Thank you so much. Go vote. Numbers don't vote. And if you're conservative, if you're a conservative out there, hey, maybe stop trying to feed people leftover used Russia cum that you sucked out of Poilievre's asshole. Actually come up with a real argument or something. How about stop doing that? Also, go fuck yourself. Okay, bye. See you guys next time. Like and subscribe. Fuck you. Losers.
Fuck that guy and his fucking YouTube videos. Stop listening to a man who doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, you idiots!